that we take a moment of silence for the 2 police officers that were killed in the line of duty, please? Item number 3, public comment. Is there anybody here from the public for public comment? Okay. Yes, please state your name and address for the phone, but understand that we cannot, in public comment, we cannot engage back and forth in conversation. Okay. Yes. Me.
Okay, my name is Melanie Anderson. I live at 8 Tibbetts Road in Seymour. I'm here this evening to bring forward to the Board of Selectmen, men and the first select woman, issues and complaints that have been brought before the Planning and Zoning Board by many residents of Tibbetts Road, a cul-de-sac of 17 homes, all zoned R40 residential by Seymour's Assessor's Office. The owner of 63 Tibbetts Road has been running a commercial business from this property, a commercial logging enterprise. Daily, large commercial vehicles are leaving and returning to 63 Tibbetts Road, inclusive of large flatbed trucks with trees on them, heavy excavating equipment on trailers, bulldozers, backhoes, lift bucket trucks, dump trucks filled with splitted wood going out. This is a business, of course, that includes employees that are racing up and down our road daily. Our road is a mess. It's old and not made for this type of large truck traffic. We have been traffic that we've been experiencing. Friday, August 12th through Tuesday, August 16th, very large tri-axle dump trucks brought into the property and were dumping fill, 4 to 5 trucks per hour for 3 days. Now, most of us work. This has been caught by people that work at home, as well as myself, early in the morning, starting at 7 a.m. So on the 15th, I contacted Jim Baldwin, who went to the site, and he determined no permits were pulled and issued a cease and desist. The dumping resulted in a significant amount of encroachment on town property and wetlands. For further information, it can be taken from the minutes from the Planning and Zoning meeting from October 13th. Just wanted to make you all aware of what's going on. In case you haven't heard of it, but we're very concerned about our road. It's not safe, and I think Anne Marie can attest to that because I had her come to my driveway to witness it. And it hasn't stopped until it got worse. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Come on up. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Matt Anderson. I live at 8 Tibbetts Road. Just to reiterate, never sold real estate. Yeah. This is a residential neighborhood. It's a quiet little street. You guys all know what that's like there. And when Mel says flatbed trucks going in and out, you're talking a Mack truck dragging a 40-foot trailer loaded down with timber. Goes in there, cut up with chainsaws, conveyor belts running, dumping these things into dump trucks nonstop. That's in addition to the excavating business, tree service, all of this going on. Pardon.
It's okay.
But this goes on every single day. There's no other business on, this shouldn't be in a residential area. That property is owned residential. So how is this going on? It really needs to stop. Families, kids like that. For the reason we all bought there, and it's no longer suitable for that. And all of this commercial enterprise, the dump trucks. You had 4 to 5 dump trucks an hour, tri-axle dump trucks. all this goes in there, these guys are running chainsaws, log splitters, conveyor belts, in an area that's surrounded only by residential homes. Behind them, in front of them, all around. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? No other public comment? Okay. I will now turn this over to Selectman Stanek, Selectman Bruno, and Selectwoman Trish Danka for the presentation of the Roberta M. Excellent in Governmental Service Award.
I guess the recipient is not here this evening.
Nicole she is not here because she had to be at work.
So should we table this matter?
We could table this, we could table the award ceremony, but I think it would be good if you can go into,
Sure. Okay, Board of Select Persons back on May 17th decided to create the Roberta M. King Excellence in Governmental Service Award in honor and in memory of Roberta King, who was once upon a time a member of this board, as well as the police commissioners and other boards and agencies in the area. We felt it was appropriate to honor Mrs. King because of her governmental service to the community. And she served with great pride and devotion. She was often very quiet, but when she was upset about it, or passionate about an issue, she was very strong in her position, and she made it very clear. She was a great person. Her son and daughter are here. Bill married this evening, and we're going to honor a recipient each year who has served in government based upon nomination submitted to the Board of Selectmen Awards Committee. This year's recipient is Nicole Curtis Vitrio. She's not here this evening, unfortunately, but we will have another presentation some other evening of a plaque. The award is given to someone who has distinguished himself or herself in governmental service. An individual who is or was a resident of the town of Seymour, someone who is or was serving as a governmental official, board member, commission member, or as a government employee of the town of Seymour, the state of Connecticut, or the federal government, an individual who has assisted the people of the town of Seymour while in a governmental role in an outstanding and exemplary manner, and an individual who shares the ideals of Roberta M. King, who valued helping others in government service. And I think we as a group, as a Board of Select Persons, are proud to have created this award, and we're going to award it annually to this individual.
Roberta and William are here today. No, Mary and Roberta, well, Roberta is here today, actually. Mary is here, and William is here. Would you guys like to speak and say anything? William? I could say that if it wasn't for Roberta King, I would not be in this seat today. Miss Ma King, as we used to call her, called me one day and said that there was a vacancy on the Board of Selectmen, and she felt that I would be the right person to do the job. Never been in politics before 2007. My mom had just passed, and she says, "This is the job for you." And I said, "Okay, I'll fill in." I'll fill in. Are you going to run again? I'll fill in. I'll be there for you. So to me, I don't want to say the word idol, but she has been such a wonderful mentor through the time. And I think of the King family as my own family. So thank you guys. I think and I know we have one here for the Conroy as well, for Jenny Rice, for the Conroy Award as well. And the plaques are not in yet, correct?
That's my understanding.
So I think that maybe the award ceremony, we should push that into the December meeting. This way we make sure that the awards are here and that everybody can be here because Teresa will be back in time as well. Would you read the one for the Frank and Ann Conroy Outstanding Community Service?
The board also created the Frank and Ann Conroy Outstanding Community Service Award at the same time. And this is an award that's in memory of Frank and Ann Conroy, who served many community governmental capacities during their lives as residents of the town of Seymour. Frank, as most of us know, served as first selectman for a time. He was a member of the Board of Selectmen. After that, president of the Seymour Land Conservation Trust, a state police officer before retirement, and the list goes on. Ann Conroy served as a Girl Scout leader, member of the Seymour Land Conservation Trust, member of the Seymour Pumpkin Festival Association, member of the Seymour Historical Society, was a founder of the Skokoret Area Civic Association, and the list goes on for Ann also. The Conroys were a dynamic couple who selfishly made Seymour a better place to live where they raised their 4 children. Frank and Ann made Seymour a better place to live, just like Roberta King did, and we are proud to honor them and their families, and will continue this award on a yearly basis. Fortunately, Teresa Conway is away and could not be here. We wanted members of the 2 families to be present for the conferring of the awards, so we will push this to another date as their selectmen I mentioned.
All right. I want to thank the awards committee for putting this together, as well as the King family for being here. If it wasn't for your mother, and as well as both of you for serving this community as well and living out her legacy, we would not know what a better world this could be, as well as the Conroy family, for all they've done for Seymour. Both the King and the Conroy families are names well known in the town, and we hope that we all can live up to their legacies as to what they've done for the town and will continue to do with their legacies.
And I would like to mention that Ann Conroy grew up in an orphanage. She was often hungry as a child. The recipient of the award is a fantastic woman who is coming up to the back of the recipient this year, Miss Rice.
Jenny Rice, she started All In for Seymour in the food pantries. Jenny Rice. She's for All In, what is it? We're All In for Seymour, correct? You're welcome. Okay. Item number 6, discussion, take possible actions to approve the minutes from the October 4th, 2022 regular meeting. Motion by Trish, second by Bob. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Discussion, take possible action in lieu of special town meeting to exempt a land records management system from town bid requirement pursuant to section 2-26A of the Seymour Town Code. Leanna?
Hurry.
Mic drop.
Becky.
Okay, ready? I handed out a little folder, some charts for the land record companies. These are the 4 main companies that service the state of Connecticut. So that's why we had asked to waive the bid process, because there are only 4 main vendors. So thank you for waiving that bid process. I really appreciate it. So I am here because we asked to waive bid process. There are, like I said, 4 main companies in the state of Connecticut: Avenue, I2S, COT, and New Vision. So we asked each vendor to produce a quote or a proposal, and due to supply chain issues, we have to make a commitment sooner rather than later to give us enough lead time to secure the necessary equipment. And that's with all of the vendors. Our contract with our current vendor, which is Avenue, is expiring in March. We have been unhappy with them for some time now.
The customer support has gotten worse over time, leading to system downtime and interruptions for the staff and residents. That can impact our real estate transactions. The online land record search that Avenue uses is U.S. Land Records, and it is very difficult to use. We constantly get complaints from title searchers and residents. I could go on and on about that as well. So that's our issues with Avenue. And also, I've worked in the town clerk's office for about 10 years. They've changed hands about 4 times. When I first started, they were ACS. Then they switched to Xerox, and they switched to Conduit, and now they're Avenue. So they switched hands a few times. Over the past several weeks, I've done some research into the 4 companies. I have seen 3 demos, one from IQS, one from COD, and one from New Vision. I reached out to all the town clerks in the state of Connecticut as well, and asking which vendor they use and if they would recommend them, pros and cons of each. I received 40 responses, 20 of which were in favor for IQS, 10 in favor of COD, 5 were in favor of New Vision, and the other half Avenue. I hear more and more every day of town clerk's offices switching to IQS and it being the best decision they have made. In evaluating the systems, we are trying to expand access to digital services. COVID proved a big challenge for us, and for those services we provide because we had to restrict access to our office to make sure everybody was safe. Additionally, all of our transactions are still currently cash check based. So this will allow us to introduce the use of credit card payments to make it easier for those who use our services. Cost is also a concern, but I want to highlight that some vendors have low monthly costs but have large upfront implementation fees. I would also like to make a strong recommendation of going with IQS. I feel as though they would be the best fit for our town, our residents, our title searchers, etc. The program is extremely easy to use. They offer more advanced technical possibilities for trade names, maps, and foreclosure filings to be online. They also have an online dog license renewal program, which the other companies do not have. This allows residents the opportunity to license their dogs without leaving their homes. This will also give animal control access to our dog records so they can search from their cars. So instead of picking up the phone to call us, they can search right in their cars. The online search is extremely user-friendly. Our title searchers absolutely love the online search program. The ease of the program will allow residents to perform their own searches of their own properties in the comfort of their homes. IQS also offers fraud alert, which is pretty big right now. This will offer Seymour residents can sign up for free. If a document is recorded in their name at the town clerk's office, the resident will get an email alert and a link to view the document in the IQS search. Property fraud is a big concern these days. We've gotten quite a few calls about that and people kind of freaking out about it. So I think that would be a good service for our residents. Online marriage applications, they have an application that you can just fill out online now. This will save residents a lot of time filling this information out at the counter, and it also saves us a lot of time as the data populates on the worksheet. The system provides monthly reports for us, which will also save us time at the end of the month. Our current online system is a revenue share program between us and Avenue. The fee is $2 per page to print, which we keep one, they keep the other one. And that would be the same with IQS. In the past 12 months, we have averaged $800 back per month. That's $9,600 a year, approximately 3 months free. More and more people are printing online. If we switch to IQS, even more people will search online. IQS is also a family-owned business with 3 generations of families involved. They're privately held and debt-free. They're constantly working on their software to keep current with industry trends and to serve the needs of their customers. That's all I have.
Any select member have any questions? I'm sorry. So you said that the dog license, the animal control officer would have access to. I would guess that's a 24 hours access that they could just type into their computer, right? The marriage license, I know how you and Veronica, they come in. Oh, Veronica, our assistant town clerk, is here as well. They fill out an a form, a worksheet, and then they
Yes.
bring that worksheet in and you type it in. So now
Right.
with this, would they just bring that printed sheet in and you guys just sign off on it now?
So they would type it in, they would type everything in the worksheet, and then it would populate onto something that we have. We type it out, they look it over, and it's really not us typing at all. But
So you
right-
print it, so it's,
What we do today,
So for marriage licenses, so today, right now, either people can come in and fill out the marriage license worksheet, or what we've been having couples do is fill it out and email it to us, and then we type it up. Either way, we're typing it up, yeah. With the online program, they type in everything, and it comes to us in like a queue, and it populates on the worksheet, and we just print it out.
onto their, not the, onto their
Onto
certificate.
Yeah, a certificate, yeah.
So all they're doing is reviewing it, making sure it's correct, and you guys are signing off?
Yeah. Yeah.
on both cases, dog license and like you're saying neighbor on your end?
Yeah. And then with dog licensing, right now is people come in our office or they mail it in, cash or check only. With the online dog license renewal system, they can use cards, and they can still mail it in or come in, but it would be, I know a lot of people always bring in their card, and we don't have that ability in our office, but if we have the dog licensing renewal online, it'll be a huge benefit.
So if they did the dog license online, how would they get their tags? Would you mail
We
out the
would mail it.
tags?
Yeah.
There's no printing that would go along with dog licenses, there's marriage licenses that have that be assigned or no?
There'd be
Same
no
thing.
printing?
Yeah. there's no printing.
The only thing that we'd be printing is like our copy for the dogs. For marriage licenses, we print the marriage, we get certain specific paper, and we would print it on that paper, but that would be our printing supply. Is that clear?
Yeah, more about the printing that you were getting dollars, you were sharing dollars.
Oh, that's for land records. I'm sorry. So land records is the revenue share. So it's $2 a page online to print, online. So we keep $1, they keep $1, and we've been averaging quite a bit over the past, since COVID, because more and more people are printing at home. And like I said, we've been averaging about $800. It would be the same with IQS. And more people like using IQS. It's easier to use. I can't even tell you how many title searchers come in and rant and rave about them. A lot of town clerks that I spoke to that have recently switched to IQS said that the traffic in their office has calmed down quite a bit. So you're not going to help people, or they're just not in your office, and it helps save your time, really, yeah.
You guys can focus on other things.
Right, like right now, we're in the middle of absentee ballots, and it would be a huge help, to not have as much traffic in our office.
Well, you have a ballot this year, you have an election this year, and you have an election next year.
Election every year.
Every year.
Yeah. This year's like the big governors, and then next year's municipal, and then after that it's presidential, and the cycle keeps going.
Never ending cycle.
Never. But it seems like absentee ballots are getting more popular, so, yeah.
And then on the fraud alert, the residents would sign up for that on their own.
Yep,
If they've been notified, they'd be signing up for that.
yep, so there'll be a link on our website, so wherever you find the link to the land records, you find the link to sign up for the fraud alert.
So we're really promoting simplicity for our residents.
Yep,
throughout the
yes.
whole system.
Yeah, right, because the online, I don't know if you've used our online US land records, it's terrible. I mean, it's really confusing, yeah.
So the ISQ document fee would be $1.25, according to this?
So this is for the index verification, so,
Yep.
the verification, that usually is, so they verify what we index. And they do it daily as opposed to the other companies or monthly. So that fee is just to verify, like, just to double check us, basically, yeah.
Right. But I see where the other companies, it ranges from 75 cents to
Right.
$2.35.
Right.
I don't know what their populace, what the basis is, whether it's weekly for the other companies or monthly.
Right, yeah.
Assuming this were to go through and I don't see a problem,
I don't see anything getting in the way of that. What would ETA be on full,
March.
March?
Yeah, so our current contract expires March 11th, I believe. We're just trying to do this now because equipment, hard to get equipment, we're on back order, so that's why we're trying to like get it going now.
Assuming this is ready to go before March, would it be available for people to use, should they want an alternative to the current system? Like is,
Before March?
yes.
No. So the implementation process, they said, is probably like a week. I mean, it'll take a day or two for them to like get everything in our office, get us set up and everything, but it'll be available as soon as they switch everything over and get our office going. So March will be the go live.
Selectman Stanley?
Thank you. I see that this particular company has the capability of e-recording. Obviously, we don't do that in Connecticut yet.
We do. So it just depends on the companies, because there are quite a few e-recording companies. We just haven't done it yet, but it is an option for
Okay,
going
most
forward.
mortgage lenders want us to record the original.
Right, yeah, yep. So, I mean, it's an option, it's just there, I put it there because I'm thinking in the future of when you don't really have extra hands to take in all of the recordings. So that's why it's there. It doesn't mean that we have to sign up for e-recording, but it is a good option.
We can sign up down the road.
Yeah, down the road, the option is there.
I wanted to ask, is there any pressure by your state association?
For e-recording?
For e-recording to become prominent?
Yes and no. Not a lot of town clerks sign up for the e-recording, and it's mainly because it takes away some people's jobs. That's what I've heard. But there is no pressure to sign up for e-recording. A lot of people prefer it, but there's no pressure.
I'm sure,
The CMBA's been advocating for it, so I imagine it's going to come sooner than later.
I'm sure it's good.
Right,
Within
right.
the next several years, we're going to see it become very significant.
This will allow people to check on things even after hours, right?
Yeah,
So
yep.
make town clerks, things that they can get the town clerk more so after hours as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have a plan how we communicate this to the town so everybody's aware of the benefits?
Yeah, so when we go live, we can post it on Facebook pages, we can post it on, obviously it'll be on our website, missingmorecp.org, on the town clerk's page, but really get the word out through that. We could even put something in the newspaper, that helps too. We could really get the word out.
Yeah, you're gonna work, and this is from the board perspective, we're gonna want some type of communication to help them.
Yes, absolutely.
You
I'm
wanna
sure the
write-
Valley
you wanna
Indy will
write
help
that up.
us.
Yeah, you won't wanna write that up.
Absolutely, we put out an announcement way ahead of time, starting March 1st, we're gonna be able to do that, and as week by week, just put out the communication, just to remind people,
Great, yeah.
so.
Can you just clarify the charge? So there's not really an upfront cost, there's the annual cost, there's the total yearly cost, right? Is the $16,970 what you anticipate bringing in this year rather than the $9,200? Or I'm not understanding the index verification charges. What's that applicable to, them or partly the town?
It's for the town, so it's for them, so we take in deeds every day, we take in work fees, quit claims, mortgages. We index them, grantor, grantee, property description, et cetera. It's a double check to make sure that we didn't miss anything, and that's what that verification is for. And that's per document, and I have the average number of document at the bottom
Yes,
left, it's
43 on.
4,209,
Yeah, that's the
and that's
sound.
an average over 6 years, so, yeah.
What is the board's pleasure?
I wish to submit a motion to accept the bid from,
Can I make a procedural,
Yeah.
recommendation, with your permission.
Oh, by all means.
Thank you. I think it might be in order to make a motion to exempt a land record management system, IQS, from town bid requirements pursuant to section 2-268A of the Seymour Town Code.
So moved. Do I
Thank
need to repeat all that?
Seconded.
Motion by Chris Bowen, seconded by Pat Lombardi. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
And if I may, I'd like to compliment Deanna and Veronica. They're just terrific in our town clerk's office, and they work with people so well. Nice work,
Great job,
ladies.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Number 8, discussion with economic development consultant. That's Sheila O'Malley.
You're on.
I hear Sheila.
So, good evening, everyone.
Oh, there you are, Roar.
Want me to stand at the microphone?
You could sit up front with the microphone in your hand, and Rory
Yeah.
can work the switchboard. How's that?
Great. Great. Hi, Rich, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Good. Nice to see you as well.
Okay.
So, good evening, everybody. I created this PowerPoint really more for some visual reminders for me than it is anything that you're gonna, marvel at. But, I've been with the town of Seymour for 8 months now, and I wanted to kind of recap some of the things that have been going on and some of the things that I want to work on and continue to work on, and what I think are sort of major priorities for the town of Seymour. And, sorry, I just made that my phone. Okay. So, yeah, all right. So I guess I began here because Silver Mine Industrial Park is pretty much maxed out. And all of the green areas, and I think even more than that, are a lot of those spots, I think 9, are taken up by Larry Janeski, basement systems. So he did a lot of development over the years, and to his credit, he's got a successful operation, and grateful for him in the town of Seymour. But, when I first spoke to Larry, the first thing he said to me was, I'm out of space, Sheila. I don't have any more space to expand. Warehouse, manufacturing, whatever the space is, whatever you have. And that began a series of conversations, and me trying to point him in different places in Seymour that I thought might be available for him. But it also tells me that, that's where we're at in Seymour, right? There's a desire and a want to expand the tax base, to increase employment and number of jobs. But we have to start planning for the future, and we have to start making room for development. And how do we do that, and what kinds of things can we do to incentivize development in Seymour? So that's why I started with that. There is a rhyme and a reason. And so that takes us to, I want to focus a little bit on the downtown. That is, as you know, I think it's 179 Bank Street. Maybe not. 141. Yep, right, sorry.
It's okay.
So 141, right on the corner, central to the downtown, I think, in its location, across from the train station. A perfect spot for what I think we all would want is mixed-use development. And it's again, across from the train station, ripe for development. Owner, obviously suffered a fire and loss of his building and the 5 tenants that were in it. And so the idea is, how do we incentivize, how do we encourage this
development in the heart of our downtown. So I think that's gonna be a key component, and we'll talk more about incentives a little bit later. It's not that long of a PowerPoint, I don't wanna make you think like, you know. Parking is an issue downtown, right? Some people say we have way too much parking, and then I talk to people who say, we don't have enough parking. So there are two extremes. I think getting a better sense of what we do have and how to maximize the parking, and are there other things? I know a lot has been done to the credit of the town in terms of trying to create more space, but what do we have? What private lots do we have? What public lots do we have that can count towards, you know, or help support some of the development that we hope to happen in the downtown? Because yes, we talked about this, it's a very small downtown, but it's a really nice downtown. It just needs a little help. So that's that. Looking to try to get some funding for a study if the board agrees with that. You know, nice. I have a lot of people who love the antique cluster, and some who don't, wish it was something else. I think you build on that. I think you've got some nice little stores downtown. Try to maximize that. Try to encourage that, along with what you really need, which is residential units downtown, to bring the foot traffic and not the scooters, but we'll bring the foot traffic downtown. All right. So
That was a good one, Sheila.
yeah, saving that. I saved that one.
Say no to scooters.
Yeah, here's the public parking area that we spoke about in last meeting, and, you know, it wasn't my idea. I had indicated that Joe McGanny had an idea about building above, using the air rights to the public parking, which, and I think Rich and we spoke about maybe getting appraisal. There's an asset downtown that maybe could be maximized, that we might be able to do some residential units. And the whole idea is to try to get more people downtown, living downtown and buying things. And that's good.
And not scooters, no.
And that's good.
Not
There's
getting
a
hit on
train
scooters.
station. The reason I point that out is because it is an asset to have your train station in the downtown. Sometimes, you know, the train station may change locations. I don't know. Well, right now it's downtown. Right now it can be used as an asset, and it has been in a couple of the grant applications that I've written. So we'll talk about Strand Theater, which I think we've got to try to bridge a partnership there. I know there was at one time, and Anne Marie's done a lot with respect to, you know, trying to partner with Mr. Fanato and his group at the Strand. But I think we can do a lot more to showcase businesses. We did talk about Showtime for Seymour, and which was an idea that I thought would encourage, like, businesses downtown, have like movie nights for businesses. We wanted to do that. We want to get that up and running, to try to have better partnerships with the small businesses downtown, and to try to encourage people to come downtown, watch a movie, get gift certificates to the stores and the restaurants. And that's an idea that we had talked about, which we'd like to pursue, I hope. Okay. Houstonic Wire and Seymour Lumber. I'm not gonna talk too much about these parcels. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with economic development that actually, by the way, these pictures are courtesy of Brian Sirowich, who's the chairman of our EDC. Took all these pictures.
Thank you.
Oh, got a good angle. So, you know, I bring this parcel up, and I was just talking to the first selectwoman about this, that there's a parcel in that other city that I work in, and it's right off of Route 8, and it was a former banquet hall. And it's a parcel that's extremely difficult. There are setback requirements on that parcel. If you don't keep the foundation in place, then you have to set it back, you have to set back about 50 feet, which makes it impossible for any sort of fast food restaurant that everyone envisioned there. And that's why we got things like a gas station, not to say that that's a bad thing, and storage units and so forth, because the parcel's difficult. And when you look at how you have to configure your development, that's sometimes what you end up with. And I compare these properties to that. They're small properties, they're oddly configured, one of them is anyway. And together they're about 4.5 acres, 5 acres. That's small. So I guess the idea is to try to encourage development in the way that you want to encourage it. I came a little late to this game, or we all did. We can't control this private owner's desire to develop it the way he wants, but just wanted to point out that a lot of the properties that you see in the valley are properties that are left because they're difficult properties. And, it's easy to go to Shelton, I've said this before, and it's, $12 a square foot to develop, and come here and it's $50 a square foot, or $30 a square foot, because it's more difficult, because I've got to excavate, or I have to, I have to blast, I have to decontaminate, I have to, put parcels together. So we try to incentivize these things to make it more appealing to come to Seymour and to come to places that have difficult parcels. So we have the community center, which is an asset for the town of Seymour, and I'll talk a little bit about the grants and so forth, but maybe perhaps that can be maximized to its fullest potential. That's the Villa Bianca. That topic came up a while ago. We were talking about that property, and of course privately owned, but the owner looking to sell it. And don't have a lot of control over privately owned property unless you have skin in the game. You either have some leverage through blight liens, you have some leverage through grants and tax incentives, but another privately owned property that has some really great potential, I think. Tri-Town Plaza, not going to talk too much about that. Folks discussed that last time around, and that's another parcel which I think the town is really making some progress, thanks to Rich and to Anne Marie and this board, making some progress on forcing the hand of people who own it, and trying to move that property forward with development. And then this, thank you, Brian, this is a really nice picture from Beacon Falls looking towards Seymour, of the Beacon Falls Seymour Haynes property. And
Isn't that the Route 42 corridor?
yes,
Okay, can we refer to it as the Route 42 corridor?
42 corridor. And this is one of those properties where it is the future of Seymour
It
and
is.
Beacon Falls, and pretty much, frankly, the valley. Is 220 acres, and want to get that going as soon as possible. And the next couple of slides, I just, there's, ways to leverage these parcels and to get people moving. Grants, tax incentives, blight enforcement, this board, regs, land use department, EDC, state and federal delegation. You all have to work together. We all have to work together towards a common goal, and I think thus far, from what I see, we've all been doing that and making some progress. And the next slide just basically talks about the things we've accomplished. Town and City Development Act, that's a big step forward. I really appreciate this board, Anne Marie, and this board's support on that initiative. I think that's going to help Thanks, Rich, as well. Some of the grants that, look, I've applied for, but frankly, grants are a team effort, right? There's a lot of work put into them. We just got a $686,770 grant, Gene Sosnovich, from OPM and DOT for a transit-oriented development at 141 Main Street. There's the address. I just couldn't remember, sorry.
Okay.
So we just got that grant, which was a good grant. $500,000, that's not entirely me, but help to get some money for the Seymour Community Center, your elevator and roof. $3 million from a federal appropriation for the construction of the road into the Haynes property. $250,000 from, that's like a mystery grant. I wrote a grant for something, for some infrastructure for downtown, and it turned up on a bond authorization from DOT, so, which they have confirmed we are getting, but not sure when or, you know, in what manner we can use it. I just go by what I submitted in a prior grant. And then there's pending grants, or there's a $10 million pending grant from the Connecticut Community Challenge grant opportunity, and that's for the rest of the construction of the road. Don't know if we're gonna get that, fingers crossed. I hope so. I think it's a good grant. It was a good application. It is a good application. And then there's another round of community investment funds coming up, and, you know, it'll obviously be decided at this board, but, you know, we're talking about it at EDC, and we're talking about ideas for what we could possibly apply for the community investment fund. And that's a fund that actually doesn't have a cap on it. So if it's a good enough project, they'll fund it completely. So those are the grants and the tax incentive, and just wanted to quickly catch everybody up. I've been working. I'll let you know what I've been doing.
We don't
And
doubt that you.
thank you all. I don't know if Brian has anything to add, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, I'd like to just add something really quick. I don't need the microphone. I just want to
Just
say
state your name and address
Oh,
for the record.
Brian Serwich, 12 Field Street, Seymour. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you for bringing us an economic development director finally here that is actually has a bit of a vision and a work ethic, and has really kind of stepped up her game and our game, and by bringing us a few of these grants. And as we move forward, we're going to attack a few more of these, and with the help of the Board of Selectmen, select persons, we will continue to do so. So thank you very much for all your hard work. Thank you.
Does any board members have anything, any questions? Selectman Bowen?
You had mentioned a parking study that you were talking about. Do we have an estimated cost on what that would be and how?
That's a good question. I'm trying to get that right now. I know the study that we are completing in Ansonia is probably roughly about the same size. It might be about 50,000.
Okay.
Might be a little less.
Is that something, I don't think that's something Art could take care of, right? I've been screaming for a parking study for years.
Your downtown is smaller than ours, and maybe it could be done for less than that. I don't.
If we can get an estimate on numbers or something to not go above,
Yep.
I've been screaming for that since I was on economic development, so.
I think it makes
I
sense.
might be mistaken
I
and
thought
thinking
one
of
was
something
done.
else, but we had one done, and
Years ago.
that's where we,
Long
well,
time.
it's not like we have any additional businesses downtown, there's no new
But,
buildings.
yeah, you want to plan.
And they
you
pointed
wanna-
out that the perception is there isn't enough parking, but we've got the parking, I know it's not ideal, which is why they brought the signs into town to
Yeah.
point out. We've got lots back here, we have the lot down at the bottom, in addition to what we do have on the road.
Yeah.
Because people really just look at on the road and want to park
Right.
right in front of where they're
Right,
going.
Right.
But we did have a parking study done, and that's where the signs came from, which are really not, the signs are not that old.
No, they're not.
So I don't want to give you a date when the study was done, but other than what McGanny has put in down here, there's not like we have built up the downtown since that study was done with all these additional floors.
before the fish ladder parking there available.
It's been enough time where I think some fresh information is appropriate. I don't know the exact date, but I think it's something that we should.
Help me understand, why is the fresh, why? I'm not saying I disagree. I'm saying right now, I'm looking to see why we'd want to do this when there hasn't been more businesses downtown. We did have a study. We have the new signs pointing to the parking lots, which it was determined it's only a perceptual issue.
We have the signs, and there are perception issues on both sides, as Ms. O'Malley noted, because some people think there's too much, some people think there's not enough. I've spoken to a lot of the business owners down there, and I think there are some perception issues. I think enough time has passed that we can get a fresh set of eyes with a person who is telling us we need this, who we hired to tell us this, basically.
I understand, but she wasn't here when it was done, so she wouldn't have
Okay.
even known that there was a study. She's been here 8 months. In all due respect, I'm not, again, not saying right, wrong,
So
right
do
now,
we have
it's
this,
indifferent.
so the old study, and I keep saying that we go back and forth on that. Is that readily available? Is that something that we can reference in town hall? Madam First Selectman?
I'm sure we can find it and get it to Sheila.
I know we have, it's not a study necessarily, but accountants.
Yeah,
If you remember.
B&B Engineering did it.
Yeah, downtown was repaved, it kind of reconfigured, first week in Q1.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardi, for that.
So all the parking that was added, we have an accountant, so that's right.
In regards to the parking, there have been several studies which, some of them date back 10 or 15 years, okay? And one of our problems with our parking is that our enforcement, with all due respect to the police department and the parking enforcement, because I did that job for 5 years, so I'm kind of very familiar with it, but it has its high periods and low periods for enforcement purposes. One of the things that the studies did say was that our parking spaces available in the downtown area were adequate. But our problem was that we weren't turning those parking spaces over quick enough, which ties into the enforcement.
That's
I'm
why
not
we
saying,
went for 2 hours.
what's that?
That's why we went with 2 hours.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's the answer to, cure all our problems here. I mean, several years ago, I'm gonna say 8 years ago maybe, we didn't have any defined parking on Main Street. We had no defined parking spaces on Main Street. People just parked wherever they wanted to. Finally I went to, Mr. Miller and said, hey, we need to do something about this. And he said, run with the ball. And the state came down, they spotted them, our Public Works Department lined them, and we're off and running. But it's the enforcement is not the answer, and we certainly, there's been a lot of studies, so I don't know if a new one is
Yeah, I'm not
feasible.
I'm not suggesting that the town spend money on a study. If I can get a grant and if it makes sense, I would recommend just kind of taking a fresh look at what's downtown and what we can accommodate. And at some point when there's more development, you'll want that information, and it'd be nice to have it. But if I can find a grant for it and it doesn't cost anything, then we'll revisit it. It's not that I think it is important, but we can negotiate that, I think, at some point.
At the very least, can we get the old study to Sheila and,
Yes.
within the next few weeks?
Yes.
And just a little history lesson, when we were talking about the enforcement last time, a
Yep.
few years ago, at the time, we thought of possibly going with meters,
Yeah.
and that didn't go anywhere.
Well, that will show, a study will show you, look, here's what we recommend to maximize maximize parking, et cetera, but
We were thinking of it just to, get people who are,
to move along.
move along. Some people park down there for their entire workday, which is, I mean, if there's limits, that's not as nice, but,
Yep. And I
but
didn't
we
even,
investigated it.
yeah, I
and it
didn't
work.
even, encourage it in the Ansonia, but, so many people said, well, we're not gonna have enough space. We've got 300 apartments coming in, we're not gonna have space. So we're in the process of doing that right now, but no one's complaining yet about space issues, but who knows, they might be in a few more months. So, yeah, that's fine, I'm happy to, we'll take a look at those.
Selectman Stanek?
If I may, I'd like to reiterate what Pat said. There have been studies over the years. There was one some 40 years ago when I was first involved in government. So, but I don't see how we would maximize parking unless we make the streets one way, because lately the street here has been made, First Street has been made one way.
This is a one-way, but people don't realize it's
I
a
know.
one-way.
That's the way to maximize parking. And someone once said, make Main Street one way. And I don't think that's a good idea, but that's what the thought process was. That's how you maximize parking, I think, in our limited area.
I understand, and we can get that study over to Sheila to see, and whenever new businesses come in, they have to do a parking study as well. That's part of their plan, that planning and zoning makes them go through. The one thing I want to say on parking is that we do have parking. We have parking over by the Fish Bypass, and we have the parking down by Zoe's Pizza across the
Trestle.
street.
Trestle lot.
Trestle lot, thank you. Is that, when you go to New Haven, right now, granted, this is Seymour, it's not New Haven, but when you go to New Haven, you can't park in front of the restaurant you want to go to. You go to a
No,
parking lot.
I understand
Right.
what you're saying.
So,
No,
sometimes we have to walk to certain areas, and it really impedes customers from wanting to go to a store when the business owners park in front of their stores.
Yeah, I kind of got it's more out of a want to really understand the downtown, how it functions, how the how the cars are able to, how we can accommodate them and so forth. So it just gives you more information,
But then you have the difference between flow parking versus if you have
Yeah.
residential parking, right? People are just going in and out of shops versus
Right.
somebody who lives there is gonna park their car there for a
Yes.
week and not move it. So that, that's where we have to
those
think about.
different kinds of parking and so forth.
And I assure you, the study I was talking of was not 40 years old.
I also want to note that hearing we did a parking study 40 years ago only confirms that.
Well, we did something within the last 10, because I remember having a copy
That's, I
and
was thinking
reviewing.
13, 14.
Yeah, because I was on the board when I
Maybe
got my
15.
first copy.
So maybe 10 years,
wanna
that's
say-
not that old.
Ours was, yeah.
I want to say that I
There've
think
been
the name of the company was Green Planet, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't-
But I
I
remember.
can see it. I can see the
May I just,
document.
I understand that the study is not that old, assuming it's 14,
Yeah.
but some major differences have occurred in those times. The whole scale of retail has changed due to the onset of the internet and the pandemic. Another thing, and I apologize for tooting your horn here, we've got a fresh set of eyes to look at the data. So at least, at the very least, we can get to the old data, but we've got a lot of grants here that we can do something with, and that lot that unfortunately burned down, we can figure out what to do with that. We can possibly take this chance to reconfigure the area to be more amenable to bringing in people from the outside. We've had these conversations before, and I understand that, but we've had, a lot has changed since then.
I totally agree, a lot has changed, and I just want to thank Sheila for getting us almost $4 million in a grant with the potential another $10 million, and I really appreciate all the hard work that you've done for us. Because, we didn't have the grant money before. I mean, Dee in our office does great grant writing, but this is money that we didn't have before. A couple of things I did want to, as we have you here, is the 141 Main Street,
Yes.
right? The swimming pool, Seymour swimming pool right now,
Yeah.
it's what
Yeah.
we call it.
Right.
What can we do, huh?
That's morbid.
It is, but when it rains, it's like a swimming pool.
What?
It just collects what?
Yeah, and
Swipe
Rich,
up.
and Rich can help out with this too, but there, I mean, there are certain things, certain regulation, or I guess white laws and certain things that the town can do to enforce.
Well, there's no blight law that we can put around there because all the law, the code says, Connecticut code says, as long as the unsafe structure has been secure with a fence around it, that's all they can do. And there's no time limit as to how long that fence can stay around there. I already spoke to Jim Baldwin about that. But what I envision coming into the downtown area is bringing back the old charm of Seymour by having the old charm of how Seymour used to be, but also bringing it to the future. I don't see a modern building there. If we're gonna put a building there, I want it to maintain the old character charm.
Right, I think that's what's nice about your downtown.
Yeah, it has to
You already
blend in.
have that.
It has to blend in.
Yeah, you really have a nice, look to your downtown.
Then planning and zoning should consider historic preservation.
That's,
Regulation. Get that in place now.
Yep, and that's their board, and that's something we could bring to their board. What we need Sheila to do, and what we need to do is, is come together and figure out what we want. We know we have Tri-Town, and I know we can't really talk about Tri-Town, Rich, I get that. Because there's a lot of stuff going on with that. I say the Route 42 corridor because that's what it's always been called, was the Route 42 corridor, because when we say the Haynes property, we have people who think that we're only going out and getting money for Tom Haynes so he can build his property.
Well, it's
And
a partnership.
Right, and I
It
don't
has
want
to
the
be.
residents to think that.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
really don't, because the reason why we would have that Route 42 corridor is to also to eliminate the congestion that is happening downtown. And it's not only to bring new businesses in and to grow our grand list,
Right.
but also to relieve the congestion that is downtown, so
That's
other
right.
people want to come in
Yep.
and visit our downtown area. The Villa Bianca, there was talk about that being sold, and we can't really talk about it because nothing has been done about it yet. But I've heard, since I did that walk around with that company, I've heard nothing from them as to them coming in.
Yeah,
You know,
and again, that might be a conversation we can have, but not, when you go to the table and you're the town, now you wanna bring something to the table, either, some, not that you have to be a hammer, but some enforcement tool in some instances, and in other instances, you wanna be able to say, hey, we've got tax incentives and we have grant money. It gets the property moving, it gets the developers moving and the owners moving.
can you tell us what's going on with Housatonic Wire? Have you spoken to Alex Budzinski?
So, I, have had conversations about Housatonic Wire, and what my understanding is that there's been some delay in cleaning up the property, and some cost escalation, associated with that delay. And so, it's kind of at a little bit of a standstill right now. I believe the storage facility people are expecting a clean site, and I believe that, I believe they're having some trouble, with some costs associated with the cleanup,
Okay.
is what I would say.
Okay.
So the cleanup is on our property owner,
Yes,
Right.
it is.
correct?
seems like he's,
Okay, I think I want to have a conversation with you. Maybe we go to the, I
And
just,
that might be a consideration for, there are grants and so forth that could be used to leverage.
Yep.
A lot of economic development stuff.
does anybody else have any other things for Sheila? Go ahead, Ms. Lombardi.
I'm good.
Finley?
Good.
Trish?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
I have one more. I promise I'll keep this brief. I apologize. We talked about this very briefly one day. One of the complaints that I've heard from business owners down there, in particular to you and Tracy, is lack of, because of the old buildings, it's hard for handicapped people to access the buildings. Can you can you think of anything that that can be done to, or some kind of grants that we could reach for,
I'm
to kind of
hoping,
facilitate
yeah,
changes
I'm
there?
hoping that our 250,000, which is supposed to be for handicap accessibility and upgrades and infrastructure downtown, a portion of that could be used to help some areas in some way. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll find out for you, and maybe that's something we can help the businesses with,
Okay, thank you.
making them more accessible. Yeah, you had mentioned that before, Chris, and I'll follow up on that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheila, for everything you've done.
All right, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thanks.
For scooting us along. Making headway.
Yeah, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session
Second.
to discuss attorney-client privileged communication,
Pursuant
including Rory Burke.
pursuant to sections 1-200 and 1-210 D, paren 10 of the Connecticut General Statute.
Thank you.
And we invite Chief
Do we need
Buccarati
anybody
and
in?
Rory
Rory
Burke,
Burke.
All right.
Town Council. Of course you're gonna be in it.
Okay, executive session, who made the motion?
Trish made the motion.
Thank you. And second?
Folks,
Who seconded the
Folks.
motion?
we're in executive, we're gonna be going into executive session.
Bob Dylan.
Bob did, thank you, Bob. And the reason was to discuss.
An attorney-client privileged communication.
Cool. See ya.
Is your radio off?
Yeah, oh,
Keep it
yeah.
on there.
If you want, I'll call it.
favorite part? Yep. We're good. Go ahead, Pat.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 8:45 PM, and for the record, no actions or votes were taken during the executive session.
Second. Second by Trish. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstained?
Right.
Motion carries 6-0-1. Fred Stanik's abstention. He was blue to make a motion to have executive session. Okay. Next on the agenda is number 10. Discussion and take possible action regarding the resolution honoring the class of 2022 inductees in the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame.
If I may, Madam First Selectwoman, I'd like to move the resolution, and if the chair wishes, I will read it.
You absolutely could read it, Ms. Selectman Stanek.
Seymour Board of Select Persons Resolution honoring the class of 2022 inductees of the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame. Whereas the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame has been established to recognize outstanding athletes, coaches, and individuals who have graduated from Seymour High School or coached Seymour High School athletes, and whereas the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame is inducting its class of 2022 members, and whereas the Seymour Board of Select Persons is proud to recognize the athletic accomplishments of the class of 2022 inductees to the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame, and to join the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame in recognizing and saluting the passage of Title IX, of the Education Amendments of 1972 by Congress 50 years ago. Whereas the members of the Seymour Board of Select Persons wish to join in recognizing and honoring the accomplishments of the class of 2022 inductees to the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Seymour Board of Select Persons, hereby offer our sincerest congratulations and extend our very best wishes on this memorable occasion to the class of 2022 inductees of the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame, to wit, inductees: Christine Cheklicki Perfecto, class of 1986; Michael Fritz, class of 1999; Christine Bordeaux, class of 2006; Michael Osecki, class of 2009; Jacob Traz, class of 2010. Be it further resolved that we, the members of the Seymour Board of Select Persons, join the members of the Seymour High School Sports Hall of Fame committee in recognizing and saluting the accomplishments of all of our athletes, directly attributed to the passage by Congress of Title IX and the Education Amendments of 1972, 50 years ago. Dated at Seymour, Connecticut, and adopted by the Seymour Board of Select Persons on this 18th day of October 2022, Seymour Board of Select Persons, and each of us so named. I move the resolution.
Motion by Fred Stanek.
Second.
Second by Trish Danka. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Please note, Selectman Bowens is not here. He went someplace. Okay. Item number 11, discussion and take possible action regarding a resolution regarding the Town of Seymour's 2022 steep application. Rory Burke.
So, as Sheila mentioned, we got the $500,000 that we applied for. This is you guys accepting the money and saying that the rules and restrictions in place will start the process for us to get the money.
Motion so I can sign that, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I need a motion, sorry.
Motion.
Motion by Bob Finley,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Sorry. Discussion, take possible action regarding the American Rescue Plan Act appropriation. A is for the portable stage. In your packet, you have something from School Outfitters. The quote is for $12,579.63. This is the stage. The Board of Ed is actually going to go half with us on this. because it's gonna be used for graduation as well. Every year, the Board of Ed rents their stage, so this will help us. And this also will be the stage that we use for our parades, so we're not climbing on the, plywood one.
Just,
But go ahead, Mr.
yeah,
Lombardi. I
just to
want
give you a
talk
little,
about it.
little background information, because I brought this up several months ago, and
Yeah.
I know Mr. Stanek did, and in the meantime, in coordination with Tim Connors Facilities and Board of Education, myself and Frank had looked at 3 other units, and we had chosen one, and lo and behold, it was brought to our attention that the Board of Education and Facilities was also looking at that, so we kind of coordinated our efforts, and this is what we came up with. The specs are in there, you can read them at your leisure, but basically it's a portable unit. It will be stored at the field house at the high school, and as Anne Marie said, we're asking for approval for $12,579.63, which 50% of that will be charged back to the Board of Education. Mr. Bucci has signed off on it. I got a notification from Mr. Connors. Any questions?
Just for a visual for me, I see the specs, but is this equivalent or a little bigger to what is used at graduation in recent years? I'm just trying to.
I'm
get
going
myself
to say
understand
it's
size.
the equivalent or better, okay, because Facilities was like really excited about this, so.
Probably a little bigger, okay, that's all I wanted
It's
to know.
bigger, it's
Okay,
bigger.
thank you.
So I'm gonna say it's equivalent or better.
But it's a size we can fit downtown.
When it's
for the
graduation
parades,
is, right?
correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Are we
it,
gonna put anything in front so kids can't do backflips off the front of the stage or try to?
what's that?
It happened.
I thought you were
Swear
biting
to
me.
Christ,
Yeah.
No, it happened, the kid almost killed himself, so.
No, but I mean, you know, it's got 2 sets of stairs, so, you know, graduates come up and they exit,
But
and,
we confirmed it's also a size we can use for the parade, right? It's not so big.
yeah, that'll fit in there.
Thank
We
you.
we were actually looking at a mobile unit, but we decided that with taking into consideration what the Board of Education wanted, that this would be a little more applicable for
Totally
dual
understand.
usage.
I just, like I said, I could read the specs and just needed help getting the visual in my head.
Yep.
So can I have a motion to approve the quote from School Outfitters for the amount not to exceed $12,579.63?
As a portion of the town, so.
Motion by Trish, second by Bob. Discussion. All in favor?
If I may, I just
Oh,
want to say that
sorry.
I'm very excited as a member of the Parade and Events Committee. We've been advocating for this for many years, and thank you everyone for supporting this.
Well, it allows us to get rid of our antique dinosaur that we've had, for a better lack of vernacular. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Come on,
you.
that thing was like a carnival ride at times.
Next one is B, the portable PA for $849.95. Rob Dyer has looked at this, he has approved of it. It's a stereo PA with a dual microphone kit. We'll use this portable PA at our parades as well as our veteran services that are at the Broad Street Park as well as the French Street Park.
Hallelujah.
If I may.
Yes.
This was necessary because when we did the Memorial Day service for the Legion and for Private Mazel,
That French.
gentleman who was brought home from Korea, at one point the microphone went completely out when Rob Peck was speaking. So Deputy Bruno and I both really pushed this forward because we needed that. There were times when we just couldn't hear the gentleman speak.
It was a little embarrassing.
It was, and this was a major event that was the first time somebody had been home in 20 years. So I'm glad that we could rectify this before Veterans Day services coming up in November.
I'll make a
Well, we're
motion-
hoping.
I'll make a
Fingers
motion
crossed.
to approve $849.95 for a portable PA using ARP funds.
Motion by Trish, second by Bob Finley. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. The next one is the Board of Education relocation, moving for $7,500. As you know, the Board of Ed is moving out of Maple Street and up to the high school. The original quote we got was $46,000.
Sorry. I'll be quiet. I had a question. I'm going to ask right now.
$46,000 to move them. but-
6,000.
Yep, 46,000.
Wow.
But I will let Mr. Stanek expand on this as well. Go ahead.
The move is scheduled for November 11th, Friday, November 11th. The relocation committee is progressing to that point. We have two quotes, as Anne Marie, the first selectman, had just mentioned. One was for $46,000 by Meyer Storage and Moving, and this quote was $7,500. I'm a little skeptical when I hear such extremes, but Tim Connors did his research, and he is confident this company will perform.
Okay, so that's what I was kind of whispering. I was shocked, but I'm convinced the other bid must be higher because they didn't want to do stairs. They really didn't want to do the job.
Perhaps.
I'm going to trust Tim.
I'm going to trust him,
Or
so
Tim's going to have to do it. It'll be a one-man show with a car.
I'm going to ask for a motion
Rent a U-Haul, Trish.
to have an approval for hands-on moving and storage for a price not to exceed $7,500, and this is to move the Board of Ed out of the 98 Bank Street building into the Seymour High School Board of Ed section by November 11, 2022.
So moved.
Motion by Pat Lombardi, second by Fred Stanek. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. And I hope that they are moved by November 11th. I think they will be. You guys have been doing a great job on
I'm
that.
optimistic. Anything can happen, but, I'm optimistic.
I'm optimistic as well. I think it will be done. You guys have been
Field
working.
trip to see it after it's done because it's really great.
Yeah, we all should.
The new flooring is going in today.
Awesome. First, select women's reports. I didn't write it down electronically, but I'll try to get it to you electronically. I attended the grand opening last night of Elite Gym. They are in the Claritas Plaza. They've been there for a while, but last night was their actual grand opening. They, on Sunday, October 30th, there's a grand opening for Black Jiu-Jitsu, which is in the Tri-Town Plaza, which was in the old Bushi Band building. I hope everybody can make that. Steve sent out an email for that. The dog park work has begun. Public Works has done all their work, and now the people that volunteered to put the park in, they are starting their work, so progress is moving. We're hoping the park is up and running by the middle of November. Team is collecting toys for Team. They will be collecting here at Town Hall until November 30th. We'll have a bin put out front, as well as Tom Backleck is having his event November 20th. The Emergency Management Group is doing a Stuff-A-Cruiser on November 12th, and they're doing their toy drive in front of Stop and Shop on December 10th. We will be holding the Trunk or Treat at the Seymour High School on October 29th. You're allowed to go in at 4 o'clock to set up. Trunk or treating actually starts from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And Fred Stanek and Dr. Compton and I will be judging again. The downtown Trick or Treat event downtown starts at 12:45 with a parade and ends at 1 o'clock over here by Tea with Tracy. And then from there, the trick or treating will be done. We'll be handing out candy here at Town Hall. Holbrook Road. It's moving along, thank goodness. April, they're set to be finished late spring, early summer of 2023. Eversource has been shutting off the power to the houses there because they're putting in new poles and new lines, and they have been calling people and letting people know. Some people are not receiving phone calls, and they are calling the town clerk, town office. I say that please call Eversource. Please make sure you have all your contact information up to date, emails, phone numbers, whatever you're using for communication, because Eversource does call and will let you know. I have Tibbetts Road. In regards to Tibbetts Road, we have had meetings with the planning and zoning. Trying to think what else I can say on that. It's now in front of inland wetlands. I'm looking at Rich because I'm wondering how much I can say on that.
Well, candidly, it's primarily a land use matter, so the land use boards and the zoning enforcement officer are the folks who have to take the point on that.
Yep, and they are encroaching on town property.
And that process has begun. The encroachment on town property, that's a different issue if they cross boundary lines and stuff on our property. And we as a corporate body may take some action against the property owner.
This is where we put the millings down.
Next to it.
Oh, yeah.
Got it? Okay.
Yes. I know the trailhead.
That's all I have for my selectwoman's report. Appointments, there are no appointments. We know we have the Christmas parade and events. We're going to put that on for our next meeting. There were no tax refunds and abatements. Correspondence, there were none. Public comments. Mr. Bruno, you said you had a couple of public comments. You want to go up there and make your public comment? You want to put that on the selectmen's?
I could put it on our selectmen's comment.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
No public comment because there's nobody here from the public. Selectmen comment. We will start with Chris Bowen first.
I have nothing this week.
Okay. Ed Stanek.
Are we going to consider the resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of Title IX?
Wasn't on our agenda. I thought it was on our agenda.
We can add it to the
If
agenda.
no.
If
It
you
was.
wish. You handed it out, I think it's great.
It is. We can add it to our agenda for. No, we can't. Yeah, next time, it's November
You
1st.
could do that if you wish.
Yeah, let's do that. But now you have it, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
because it says November 5th.
Okay. That's when the. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot. The sports banquet is November 5th. I hope everybody goes to that. Go ahead. Okay.
I just want to state that if you want to be really scared, trunk or treat, come and see the three judges. Wear gowns and colonial wigs. So we'll scare you.
We do. It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
We go all out.
And I want to
forward
just
to it.
mention for the record, this is the first meeting that we are officially the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, we are.
That's it, thank you.
Selectman Bruno.
Yeah, I just wanted to state that commercial businesses in residential zones are not allowed per law, and that I fully support the residents of Tibbetts Road. Those who choose to run afoul of zoning laws do so at their own peril and should be subject to whatever legal action and fines that are at the disposal of town representatives. These violations need to stop. This is not the only occurrence in town where people do this. And I think folks need to understand that Seymour will enforce its laws and that you're impacting others when you do such things. So the people that can't see beyond their own tips of their own noses, there's other people living in the town other than you. You can't just do whatever you want with your property. So I'm behind those folks 100%, and I look forward to that being resolved. Thanks.
Yeah, that's it. Al kind of stole my thunder. I think he put it a little bit more eloquently than I would, but I'm in full support of the residents who came out and spoke today as well, because, there's other people that are living and, they're purchasing, I don't care if they're choosing to rent there under the premise of what these neighborhoods are, and cannot just move in and decide to do what you want to do for your benefit at the peril or discontentment of everybody around. So I'm also in full support, and people do need to understand they need to follow the zoning laws. The only other comment I was going to have tonight, Anne Marie had a moment of silence. Thank you very much for that today. But, as time goes on, people are very angry, and very aggressive, and it concerns me greatly. I do not want to see something like that happen here, and, you know, anybody, because, you know, we have such a large audience all the time, I'm sure millions of people listen.
Millions.
But,
Millions.
even
16,000.
thousands, I'll even take hundreds.
16,500.
You know, in a world where people are angry and there is so much discontentment, the one thing that you can do is be kind, listen, and don't partake. Because you getting angry and reacting in kind, even when you feel it is justified, just feeds into this mob mentality. So please, it's really upsetting, and we have to find a way to put an end to it and kind of like to pay it forward, just one kind thing every day. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Bob?
Yeah, no, my hearts go out for the officers of Bristol. I think to go one step further, I think we do have a mental health issue that has been plaguing us for a little bit now, maybe coming out of COVID. And maybe that has something to, who knows what it has something to do, but I think that's something we ought to be conscious about people, and thank our police department, of course, for being protective of our town. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations to the 2022 Hall of Fame inductees, and please try to wear pink tomorrow. That's all I have.
Supposed to wear pink today. Okay. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Trish.